Have you ever had a frenemy? Somebody who's a friend and an enemy? January 26th, we seem to see a recurring theme throughout history, and that's the rivalry between England and France. On January 26th of 1340, we see the English king, Edward III, declaring himself to be King of France. You can imagine how that went over in France. On January 26th of 1666, we see France decides to declare war on England. January 26th of 1748, England signs its anti-French treaty, and on it goes through history. When the English and French weren't fighting each other, they were usually allies joined together to fight someone else. They banded together to fight Roman expansionism under Julius Caesar. They banded together to fight those pesky Germanic tribes that kept invading. They banded together to fight against Spain and its encroaching power. They banded together to fight against Germany. And yet they fought each other an awful lot. Who can forget those heroes, Henry V of England and his victory over the French at Agincourt? And everyone remembers the French maiden Joan of Arc and her victories over England. We remember Wellington and Napoleon. Matter of fact, one of the French leaders once referred to the English people as our most dear enemy. Have you ever had somebody that was a dear enemy? Nowadays we refer to them as frenemies. You know, Jesus had a frenemy. There was a man that was with him every day. They walked together, they ate together, they laughed together, they worked together. And yet Judas Iscariot, one of Jesus' closest friends, was also his betrayer. How do you deal with the Judases in your life, your frenemies? Well, as Christians, we learn from Jesus. How did Jesus deal with Judas? Well, we see a couple things. Number one, Jesus didn't share with everybody all the information he knew about Judas. He kept some of those things to himself and gave Judas a chance. He didn't talk to everybody else about what was going on. And one of the greatest things I think we see is when Jesus in John chapter 13, just hours before the betrayal, did something very unique. It says he washed all the disciples' feet. You know, in pictures we see him washing Peter's feet because we have record of that conversation. But it says he washed all the disciples' feet. That would include Judas. And I have to wonder what Judas was thinking when Jesus took his feet in his hands and began to wash the dirt off of them. Jesus knew full well that the last journey those feet had taken, the last dust that was still on them, was from that journey to the Sanhedrin, offering to betray his Lord. And yet Jesus still washed Judas's feet. And I have to ask you, is there a Judas in your life, a frenemy, and you're just not sure how to deal with them? You don't know when they're going to be your ally and when they're going to turn on you. As a Christian, you have the responsibility to be like Jesus. Is there a way today that you could wash the feet of a frenemy? Paul gives this advice in Romans chapter 12. As far as it depends on you, as far as it's possible, live at peace with all men. Now you can't decide how they're going to react. You can't make them do one thing, but you can behave in a way that shows integrity and Christ-likeness. And I think one of the ways we see our Christ-likeness the most is in how we deal with our Judases, our frenemies. So, maybe today you need to do some foot washing of a frenemy. Trust Jesus to help you. Have a blessed day.